Hey everybody, Dan the Bodybuilder from Thailand here. I'm going to tell you a story that I mentioned in one of the recent videos about having some of my friends pass away in front of me in accidents. So I'm going to tell you one of those stories right now. This story happened back in 2007. It was July 2007, and I was in Idaho. So I was in Idaho because I went to summer university there. I did 2 semesters at BYU, Idaho, and then I stopped going to college until I was 21. And then I did community college until I was 23, and then I went to UC Santa Cruz after that and got my degree. So when I was 18 and I was there at BYU, Idaho, and basically in Idaho, the main thing to do is outdoor activities. So we would always be outdoors, like going to the sand dunes and like bringing generators and big cars and making fires and like having like big dances out there and stuff like that, with like maybe like it would be kind of like raging out there and in the sand dunes in Idaho. And you know, the party would go till maybe 2 a.m. or something, or 3 a.m. and everybody was out there in the sand dunes. Another thing that people would do is go four-wheeling or go to rivers and swim in them. But you know, our favorite thing to do was probably bridge jumping. Bridge jumping was cool because me and my friends, you know, we like to go to the gym, right? And we were 18 years old, so we were obviously like really fascinated by like girls, so we really wanted them, you know, we loved it when they would wear their bikini or whatever. And also we were at BYU, so, you know, most of the girls who were, you know, more conservative, you know, wouldn't want to go do that with us. But then you'd get these more like girls that were a little more crazy or more adventurous who would, you know, want to go out there. You know, we were all working out. You know, I wasn't like huge or anything at all. You know, I was 18 years old. I'd been working out natural for a year, and we were less actually. It may have only been like I'd maybe only been working out for like 8 months at that point, or 7 months. And so we would go bridge jumping. And what bridge jumping is it's you jump off of a bridge into a river, because there's like bridges for cars to drive across, and you know, there'll be rivers under them, so you jump off the bridge and jump into the river. And this was a cool and exciting thing to do too, because it's scary, because you're jumping, you know, a minimum of like 40 feet like off of a bridge into a river, so it's scary. It like takes like daring, and that was one of the reasons why it was really fun to like bring girls when we would do this, because it was a thing of, you know, we'd have the girls in the bikinis there, and you know, we'd be out in the wilderness, like way out of the city, and we'd be jumping off bridges, and it was daring. You know, it really made us, you know, you'd really get that feeling in your chest, like nervousness, and then you're like, wow, and like jump off the bridge, right? And then you're like flying through the air, and then you hit, and you know, sometimes we'd, you know, if we liked one of the girls or whatever, you know, or not even if we liked them, just because it was just fun, you know, we'd want the girls to jump with us, you know, so it'd be like, yeah, jump with us, baby. And then, you know, we'd like maybe hold hands or something, and we'd jump in. A few times the girls' bikinis, you know, when they jumped in, because the force, the water was so strong, you know, from jumping from 40, 50 feet or whatever, you know, the bikini would go like, poof, hit the water, which was funny. So there was a lot of fun reasons to go do this, and we did this all the time. All the time. We were always looking for new places to go bridge jumping. Um, it was, I would say it was our favorite thing to do. Um, and there in Idaho, there isn't really a lot of laws either. So you can like drive in the back of a truck. It's more of a outdoor hick redneck style lifestyle. So we would be driving down the freeway at like 100 miles an hour going to these places in a truck, and there would be like maybe 8 to 10 of us in the bed of the truck going like 100 miles an hour. So this is, you know, in the bed of the truck. And that's not illegal there in Idaho for some reason. But it's incredibly dangerous and incredibly foolish. So we were kind of like you know, we were doing these things. We were 18 years old. This was our first time out alone, like away from home. And it was, you know, I was with that, you know, we had that group that was more of a daring group, and we are doing some more of these daring risk-taking activities. It's always been the type of guy I am personally. I'm just drawn to things like that. So there was also a waterfall, and there was this waterfall called Monkey Rock that was right next to one of our favorite bridges to jump off of, because this bridge was just really cool, and like there was a barrier, you know, like a barrier, so sometimes you could run up off the street and then you jump and you'd clear this like 4 feet high, you know, you'd lift your knees up really high when you jumped, a running jump, and you'd clear this like 4 feet high concrete barrier, so you wouldn't even be able to see the river before you jumped off the bridge. And then as soon as you cleared the barrier, then all of a sudden the view of the water would come in. You'd be like, whoa, like flying down, you know? So that we really liked this spot. It was really fun. And some of the guys were like gymnasts or something, so they could do like double backflips off of it and stuff. Like it was really, really fun going there. And then there was this place called Monkey Rock, which was within walking distance from that. And so we go over there, and we had been there a few times before. And Monkey Rock was, I'm going to put a picture of it in, obviously. And it's a waterfall. It's about 30 feet high. So it has a long, like, lead up at the top of the waterfall. And then the waterfall is pretty powerful. And then it goes down into, like, the river. The river. I think it's called the Snake River. And the river down there, it goes over to where the bridge was, and it's pretty quick moving water. So we would play at this waterfall because it was fun to swim down below the waterfall, and then we'd swim underneath the waterfall, right? And then there was like an area back there that you could chill a little bit at. And then we would also get on top of the waterfall. We would climb up to the top, and then we'd walk through the rocks because it was deep enough right at the lip of the waterfall where it went down, that it was maybe only 3 feet deep in water, so we could actually wade through it. And it was hard to like maintain your balance, so maybe you'd need to like use like a hand or something too to like maintain your balance, but we could do it, and we could actually make our way to the edge of the waterfall and then jump off the waterfall down into the lake or river below. So we did this a few times, and I thought Monkey Rock was cool. And so did the other guys. So we'd talk about like, yeah, man, let's go to Monkey Rock. Let's get the girls together. Let's go to Monkey Rock. And I don't know if you know too, but Mormon girls are pretty hot. Like, I don't know if you've seen them, but like, I mean, MTV voted Sandy, Utah, which is 98% Mormon, to be the city with the most attractive women in the world. So Mormon girls are hot, just to let you know. A lot of them are blonde too. And so we were there, we're like, all right, let's get the girls. And we get this big caravan going, right? So we got the trucks, we got my friend who, he was another one of my workout partners. He was driving his Mazda RX-8, and we had a few other cars, and we all went down there. And then there's two guys that were my friends. One of them was named Logan, and Logan was my workout partner. He actually had been using, this was back, you know, in 2007, so like Superdrol and things like that were like legal to be bought back then, and a lot of other designer steroids. So he was using those, and he was actually competing in teenage bodybuilding competitions, and he was really yoked. I'll show a picture of him, you know, next to me as well. And I was natural. I didn't become unnatural until I was 25. Yeah, or 24 or 25. And but this is back when I'm 18. So Logan is there. He's my training partner because we were like the most serious guys at the time, you know. It was funny, I was taking No Explode back then, and I thought that it like gave me like roid rage and stuff. I'd go to the gym and be like, oh, No Explode. And I had some protein supplement that I was taking. So that was the supplements that I was taking. But I was really, really into the gym. And that was when I first, like, during those first couple months of college, I made some some big changes. Made some really good gains. So anyways, Logan's with me, and then Parker's with me. Parker is he's an American, but he was grown up in France, and so he speaks French. And Parker Bradford, and then he was living in America now, and speaks English fine. He's a cool guy. He's got like a natural charisma to him, Parker, and the girls like him. Everything. He's not like he's not in like great shape, or like he's just in normal shape, and he's not like the most like handsome looking guy or whatever either. He's just like a normal looking guy, but he had a really good charisma about him, Parker. So I thought he was a cool guy, and we were friends. Like me, Logan, and Logan were better friends than me and Parker, but we're definitely friends with Parker as well. So we get there to the river, or to Monkey Rock, the waterfall. All the cars drive up. We got probably 5 or 6 cars. We got about 35, 40 people there. And we brought them all there, and then we get up on top of the waterfall, you know, jump in a little bit, and jump down into there, into the river. And then one of my best friend there was with me too. No, actually, no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Never mind. There was this guy that lived there with me, and he was really good at guitar, and I kind of watched his technique, and that helped me break through some barriers with guitar. He was my best friend, my roommate, Mike Gerard. So we were at the river, and then like after I jump off and I'm walking back up the hill, I hear like help. I hear help, help. And I'm like, what? Like, it's like a weird noise, right? It doesn't sound right. And so I start jogging up the hill instead, because it kind of, the way it sounded was not right. And then I get up the hill, and I see these guys up, one of my friends, he's up here, his name was Josh, and he's up here at the top of the waterfall, like behind the waterfall, right? So here's the waterfall, and then here's like the run up to the waterfall, you know, and then here's where the waterfall goes down. So they're like over here by this bridge, and underneath this bridge is this water churning, like processing facility, okay? And so basically, like what it does is the water that's leading up to the waterfall, it goes through this water like churning thing. I don't know what it's there for, but anyways, the water's flowing, and then it like goes into this thing like in a quick like thing, and then the water does like this circular churning thing in this under this bridge area where it's really churning quickly, and then some of the water is getting like from the bottom part, it's getting like spit out towards the waterfall. So this is the water that is powering the waterfall, and there's this water churning device that, you know, it's huge. You know, it's the area, it was very powerful, okay? So I get to the top of the waterfall, and I see my friend Josh waist deep in the water at the top, but he's about 20 feet away from the churner, right? And he's going, Dan, get in the water, help! And there's a bunch of other guys in there too. There's about 5 guys, and I see them making a human chain. And immediately, you know, I want to help. And so immediately I step into the water. And right when I stepped into the water, I had this like sensation like come over me, like, don't. Like, do not go. This is wrong. And it was almost like as if like my mom had like been in my head or something, you know, like warning me of danger. It was a really, really weird thing. I felt this distinct. The moment I stepped my foot in that water, I just felt like this sick feeling like, no, this is wrong. And then I took my foot back out, and the guys in the water, they're like screaming. And now what I understood was that one of these dudes, Parker, he had got caught he had been trying to check out this water churner. So he had been inching closer and closer to it, right? And once he got about 15 feet from it, it sucked him in. So it pulled his feet out from under him and just like sucked him right in. And so now he's churning in a circle in this water churner. And about every 5 seconds, you'll see a limb come up, like a hand or a foot, or even occasionally like a head or like lips come up like that or something. And at that point, when I saw that, I knew this was serious trouble, like serious apocalyptic bad situation, because there's a lot of other guys in the water, okay? And they're making a human chain to pull this guy out. And so I had this feeling like, do not get in that water. So I took my feet back out and I got back up on the bank, and my friend in there, he's like, what are you doing? Dan, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, I can't get in. And then, I shit you not, about 15 seconds later, every single one of them got sucked in to the water churner. So now there's about 5 or 6 guys, and they're all getting churned around in this thing. You see like limbs flying up, or like a foot occasionally. It's like they're being churned like this, going down under, and then up, and then down under, and they keep on getting sucked, and it's really fast and really hard, and it was obvious they were dying. So I was like, I've got to be able to help these guys, but getting myself in that too is going to take away my ability to help them, like getting in the river, because if I get sucked in, I can't help them. And it's also dangerous for me. It's like one of those guys got in there, and now if you get in there and try to pull him out, like, you're probably gonna die. And so above the water churner, remember there was that bridge there. So I get up on top of the bridge, and I'm like looking down, and they're still churning down there. And then some guys, there was a couple other guys up at the top that got, right about that moment, they brought a towel over, and they lowered a towel down, and they pulled out my friend who was driving the Mazda RX-8. I forgot his name, but it wasn't one of the other guys that I'd mentioned yet. And so they pulled him out with the towel. And when he got, and when he got pulled out, he was really messed up. So then I'm like watching this, because I'm thinking like, what can I do to like get these guys out, because these are my friends, and there's still about 5 of them dying. And it's like, this has only been, a grand total of, 120 seconds, this whole thing. And so then right at that point, I noticed Josh, my friend who had told me like get in or whatever, he gets shot out. Apparently he was from Hawaii, and he had experiences like in like riptides and stuff. So somehow he was able to hit the bottom and like rocket himself out with the current down towards the waterfall. So I'm like, Josh, like I see him down there, he gets pulled out, and I walk back into the water, and I'm like, Josh, are you okay? And he's actually okay after being in the water churner. So really cool guy. So then he actually is able to run out, and right at that moment, I see another body floating down the top of the waterfall, face down like this. They're floating face down. That top area, they got shot out somehow. It was Logan and my training partner, and Logan got shot out, the bodybuilder guy, and he got shot out of the water churner, and now he's floating like this, face down in the water towards, he's obviously unconscious, and floating towards the waterfall. And by the time that we notice, like, hey, that's a person, that's a body, he's going over. And I'm like, shit. So I like start running so fast towards down the hill to the bottom of the waterfall, right? And right at that moment, I see Logan's body like go crashing over the waterfall, like into the river or the lake underneath. And it was bad. It was bad, bad, bad. And so I swim in. I'm like swimming. I'm like dive in. I'm like swimming because now I'm at the bottom of the waterfall, right? There's no danger to me at this point. And so so now Logan's body is being like shot down the river, the Snake River, and because there's a current. And so like I'm trying to catch up to him, and finally I get to him. I put him like in a half Nelson, and then so I'm like this, and now I'm swimming like backstroke, like with a kick, like a kick like this, and using this to pull Logan and myself to the shore. And so I get him on the shore, and Josh is standing there, and he helped me pull him to be lying on his back, okay? And so Logan's eyes are like peeled open like this, and they're like popping out of his head. They're like completely peeled open, right? But he's unconscious. Like they're like way, way open, but he's unconscious. And his chest, you know, here's normal chest. His chest cavity was about out here. It was completely filled with water. Like his stomach, his lungs, everything was 100% saturated with water. So it was like, it looked like his chest was going to explode because that whole like cavity here was so huge and full of water. So I start giving him CPR, and I'm like, boom, 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 like on this guy's, you know, right under his sternum. And then he goes like, but he was unconscious. There was no responsive, you know, like I didn't know whether. And so then all of a sudden, it's like, and like this massive like eruption of water goes flying out of Logan's mouth. And so I keep on giving him CPR, and he gets a couple more of these out, and then he's like coughing a little bit, and it's like, okay, he's alive, right? And then right at that moment, so I'm not focusing on what's going on in the waterfall anymore, right? Like all I'm focusing on right here is saving Logan because I didn't want him to die. And so right at that moment, I look behind me and I see Parker's body falling off the top of the waterfall like Logan's was, but this is way worse, man. This is way worse. Like his body looked like jello falling down that thing. Like it wasn't following the laws of physics that a normal human body follows. It looked like jello. And so I see him fall down this thing, and it's brutal. Like his body's just getting like mutilated on the way down. And now he's in the river. So I can see that Logan is stabilized. The thing is, guys, is that during these emergency situations, people freak out and they lose their ability to, they just go mental. They don't know what to do. People, when they get into these emergency situations where people are dying and stuff, it's like, so everybody, these were all Mormons, by the way, that I was with. And so everybody's like, they're like running back and forth. Remember, there's like 40 people here, right? But there was only a grand total of 5 or 6 of us like trying to do anything to help these guys. The rest of the like 30 people were like running back and forth, like they were having some kind of mental event happen where it was like a state of confusion or something that was causing them to go into a total like animal state. Like they'd be like making, like the people that were there were making weird noises. They were repeating swear words over and over again, and they were running back and forth, like run 10 feet and then turn around and run the other way, and then turn around and run the other way. It was really weird. I've never seen human behavior like this before, but this was like okay, it was really weird. Okay, it was really weird. I've never seen human behavior like this. I don't know how to describe it other than that everyone looked like they were chickens with their heads cut off, and there was about 5 of us who were able to help these guys because we were able to like maintain our sanity or like our mental clarity, our composure. I have this thing where when I get into emergency situations, I get really, really calm and everything goes into slow motion. Like I get into a weird extreme calm mode where it's like my heartbeat is going slow, my breathing is going slow, my speaking is very controlled, and everything is moving in slow motion. So this is just one story, guys, but there's been other stories since then where I've had this repeat, this state that I go into in emergency situations that I just noticed is different than most people. You know, there was like, out of a group of 40, there was like maybe 5 people who were handling it similar to myself, and then the other 35 were not. So I don't know, I'm talking about this stuff because it's like this is like a weird experience, and so there's weird mental events or mental states that happen that, you know, you probably wouldn't really see unless you were like at war. Like if you were in Afghanistan, you know, and like seeing your friends dying around you and stuff like that. I think that's the only other time that you would really have people, you know, like all sense of society and culture is just like abolished, you know, and it's like everyone's lives are on the line, and it's just people go to this weird animal state or like a fetal state where they're completely inoperable. So anyways, I see that Logan, you know, he's thrown up, and I see that he's okay now. He's gonna live, and this other girl who is a lifeguard takes over for him, you know, doing the CPR, and I jump into the river to go pull Parker out because I just saw his body come flopping down the waterfall. And so we get in there and we pull him. There was another guy that also jumped in, and we both pull him out together and put him on the sand on his back. But he didn't look like Logan, okay? Like, his skin was yellow and purple, and when we were lifting him, it was like he was jello. Like it was like there was no firmness at all to his body. It was just like a flop. And so we put him there on the side, on his back, on the shore, and it's obvious he needs CPR. So the other person that pulled him out this time started pushing below his sternum, to give him CPR. And then it's like, he's like unresponsive, and it's like, we need someone to blow into the mouth. And that was me. And you know what? I had this weird thing come over. Even though I was in this situation where it was like life or death, I still had this like thought come through my mind for about a half a second. I don't want to touch my lips to another guy's lips. I'm serious. That actually came through my mind. But it was only for about half a second. It was like a first impulse at me being in this situation and needing to give him CPR, and needing to be the one who blows down into his mouth. So I had this split second thought come right in this moment across my head. I don't want to put my mouth on another man's lips, but it only lasted for literally a split half a second, and then I was right down there, you know, with my mouth on his mouth, breathing air into him, you know, and like every 10 seconds, every 5 seconds or so, you know, I'd be blowing air down into his mouth. But you know what? He had a hole in the front of his skull from the fall down. There was a hole right here, and it was really graphic. So it was about the size of a dime, or the size of a penny, a coin, and it was right here in the front of his skull right here, and it was crushed. It was caved in. So there was a hole right to his brain, right here. There was nothing there. It looked like a bullet hole. Like a bullet hole had gone straight through, and there was a round. It was like caved in, and then his brain, you could see his brain in there. It was gray, and I breathed into his mouth a few more times after I noticed that, and the floppiness and the purple skin and the yellow, and it just seemed like he passed away, like right when we were doing this. Like when we pulled him out, it seemed like he was pretty much dead. But it seemed like maybe he had like a little bit of life left in him. Like maybe there was still some spark of life. But there was a moment when that girl was pushing on his chest and I was breathing into his mouth. And we both just like knew. We looked at each other and we just knew he was dead. Like it was like his like spirit like left his body while we were doing that. Because it was like we were doing it, and then there was a moment where it was like, he's dead. And we looked at each other and it was like, he's dead. So, my other friend, who I haven't talked about yet, he lived in my house. He wasn't my roommate, but he was there as well. He had booked it when this situation first started happening. He started running to look for help. So he found somebody's house, and that was like a mile away or something, right? And so he comes back with them, and they like called the ambulance. And so a helicopter comes and an ambulance comes. So the helicopter comes and like they put Logan, who's unconscious again, and Parker, who's dead, in the helicopter and take them to the local hospital, right? So then I go to the local hospital, and apparently like most of the school knows or something now, so it's like loaded with like maybe 300 people, and all of them are just screaming, crying, like total anarchy, total chaos in this hospital. And me and John, that guy who went and got the help, we looked at each other in the hospital, and all of a sudden we got this like crazy grin on our faces, and we both ran to the bathroom, and we went in the bathroom, shut the door, and we just bursted out laughing, like hysterical laughing. Like just, we both were laughing so hard, and we didn't know why. We had no idea why we were laughing, and we couldn't figure it out, but we were. And we were saying like, we can't handle like being with those people out there. Like the way that they're reacting to it, it didn't, people like in the waiting room of the hospital, it didn't, they were like expressing a lot of emotion, right? But I hadn't had time to express any emotion during this whole thing, and neither had John, because we had been trying to save these guys' lives, and now we're at the hospital, right? Like we hadn't expressed any emotion like whatsoever the entire time, because it's dead serious. We're trying to make these guys not die, our friends. And so then that was like our first expression of emotion, was this like weird thing where we had this uncontrollable, we looked at each other and we both got this uncontrollable look on our face, like laughing, and had to run to the bathroom because it's incredibly inappropriate to do that. And we didn't know why we were having this reaction. And so, yeah, Parker was dead. Parker died. Logan, my training partner, he ended up making it. And definitely got a special place in my heart for that guy. For both of those guys. Logan was like my closer friend of the two. And yeah, I'm glad he survived. I wish that Parker survived too, but I'm glad that Logan survived. And so then I still didn't know what to make of it, okay? And so my sister lived in Idaho at the time too, and I went to visit her like the next day, and my family was there visiting, like my parents, and at my sister's house. And I was watching a football game in there. I still hadn't expressed like any emotion like over this event, except for the laughter. And this is like the next day or something, or 2 days later. And just spontaneously, while I'm watching the football game in the living room, and they're like all in the kitchen, I just break down like bawling, like just like crazy loud bawling. crying. Like, I remember it just came over me. Like, and I was just weeping, like, well, just sobbing, crying. And it was scary to my family because they immediately came in and they were like, what's wrong? They didn't know what's wrong. And I told them what had happened. And, you know, the type of crying that I was doing, you know, there's different types of crying. And when someone is in serious agony or has been through something really, you know, really intense, the type of crying that it is, it's a different type of crying. And it really freaked my family out because of that type of crying that I was doing. And then I told them what happened, and you know, then I started to feel better. It emotionally affected me for months afterwards, maybe even years. I'm not really sure, but it's been like a life-changing experience. It happened when I was 18, and even thinking about it now, it disturbs me. This is actually the least disturbed I've ever been right now while I'm recording this. This is the least disturbed I've ever been while telling the story. Usually, the last time I think I told this story was like 3 or 4 years ago. And I remember I was disturbed for quite a while afterwards, like at least like 24 or 48 hours after I told the story. But this time I actually feel okay. So maybe I'm completely getting over it now. But it was such a brutal experience, like having your friends dying and like taking them out and like giving them CPR and having them then die like in your arms and stuff like that. It's like because that's what happened with Parker. He died in my arms while I was giving him CPR. It has effects on you. It just has effects on you. Changed my life. It's a part of who I am today. That experience, that became a part of me. It's part of who I am. It won't ever go away. I think there have been more emergency situations since then where, having been through that, it helped me. Having had that experience to help other people again. And I mean, rest in peace, Parker Bradford, R.I.P. Parker. You know, he's an 18-year-old boy who died that day. Logan survived, and he's alive still. But yeah, you know, he was a really nice boy, and he had some real charisma. He was only 18 years old, and you know, his family. He had a sister, a little sister, an older sister, a mom and a dad, and I went to his funeral. And you know, they were so broken up. They were so broken up. So that's that story, guys. That's the story of Monkey Rock, my friend Parker Bradford, R.I.P. Dan the bodybuilder from Thailand, bodybuilderinthailand.com.